All right, and we are ready to go with the BPG and Colin McRae rally. Take it away.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello everybody, I am BPG13, also known as Viper to my regular viewers. Welcome to Colin McRae Rally 2, released back in 2000. Now this is the new game category, championship. It's the Novice Championship, which is the fastest one and contains the least amount of stages. We're going to jump straight into it, so I'll kind of explain as we go. So if we're ready on time, like whoever's on timer, as long as we're ready to go, I shall begin. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alrighty, okay, first things first, to kind of give an explanation as to how this game works. So, this is the Novice Championship. Now the Novice Championship consists of 8 rallies. Finland, Greece, France, Sweden, Australia, Kenya, Italy and the UK in that order. Now, immediately from the get-go you'll have noticed something interesting. You'll notice that the screen was grey there. Now, something that is actually present throughout this entire game, and this run in particular, is that we have something which is dynamic weather. So, dynamic weather, basically, if the screen goes grey at the start of the stage like it did, that means it will start dry and end wet. So that means we're going to get a bit of rain on Finland. Now this is the first for me, I haven't really had much rain in Finland. But for the most part, the stages are relatively straightforward. You'll notice immediately that we start cutting corners. This is how we've managed to get the game down so short. And the other thing as well, to give a quick kind of explanation as to the car and the category. So there's two categories, sorry, subcategories, two variables you could say, for the championship. So there is the regular and there is the New Game Plus. Now the New Game Plus is anything goes, so any car, no matter what car it is allowed. Whereas with the regular championship there is only certain cars that are allowed. So if you start this game from a brand new save file, there's 6 cars available to you. Just 6 and that's it. And they are the Subaru Impreza, the Toyota Corolla, the Mitsubishi Lancer, the Ford Focus, the Seat Cordoba and the Peugeot 206. Now, out of those 6 cars, the fastest one that we use is the Seat Cordoba. And this is mainly because of one or two reasons. One, it has a horsepower deficit like no other. And the other one is that it does its best to get around the corner. So for example, it's quite nimble and the speed in the straight line is a lot better. As for how each stage is developed, so a bit more rain, but that won't hurt anything. So Finland is actually quite a fast rally, so the reason why at the first stage you may have noticed it was kind of blink and you'll miss it kind of thing. So one of the things you may have noticed that I did was I immediately turned my gearbox up to a notch further towards the lung. So that basically means that I can gain a bit more straight line speed. Now, judging by this car's wheelbase, we're going to be able to get a lot of speed out of it. Now, fortunately, because it is raining, I'm going to have to be a bit more tedious and a bit more cautious going around corners. So, for example, I won't be able to take some of these corners as fast. Like, this is the implication that wet weather has on you. Now, I will say this for the most part, this probably isn't going to be the first time you're going to see rain. Having it in Finland is never a good thing, but we can work around it, it's fine. No big deal. The biggest ones where it will actually cause an upset are in Italy and the UK. This is the ones where, those are the rallies where things can go horrendously wrong if you're not careful. So, what we've got to hope and pray on, so to speak, is we need to make sure, as I go for a ride through the trees, is that we need to make sure that the weather is not going to mess us up, so to speak. So this game released back in 2000, and this came out 2 years after the original Colin McRae rally. Now this is the PC version, I just want to clarify something straight away. This is the PC version, and that's the reason why it looks a lot better than it should. Usually to get this game running on a modern system, you'd need to install something called the Silent Patch, and that is what allows us to play it on a modern system. So Windows 7, Windows 8, 8.1 and Windows 10. This is currently running on Windows 10. Unfortunately we have this weird graphical glitch, but it won't affect us in any way, so it's fine. So just for the sake of things, I am actually going to repair my engine and my gearbox. So it seems like this rally is giving us the finger, so we are going to have a wet Finland. This is our first. Luckily when we get out of Finland, things will become a bit easier. So like I said, Finland, very fast. It's not the kind of blink and you'll miss it, but it is a very quick rally. It is one of the fastest rallies in the entire game. So each of these rallies will consist of 4 stages. However, on 4 of the rallies, so Greece, Sweden, Kenya and the UK, there will be an extra stage which is called the Super Special Stage. Now the way these Super Special Stages work is they have you facing off against a competitor. So it might be us versus Colin McRae, it might be us versus Bakker, who's also one of the drivers. Pretty much everything, like every driver in this game is named in a different way. So for example, McRae is obviously Colin McRae. Douglas, Ericsson, other names, they're actually not real, they're all fake. So yeah. Like I said, it's one of those things. So feel free to have a laugh at the names that they put in. But, as I said, kind of getting back on topic a little bit. So this car is particularly quick. I believe it has around 500 horsepower, which compared to the Seat Cordoba is around 180 to 200 horsepower more. So the Peugeot 205 is actually the fastest. So this car, the Peugeot 205 Turbo 16, I believe this is the Evo 1. This is the fastest car in Colin McRae Rally 2, with the second fastest, I believe, being the MG Metro 6R4, and then the third fastest being a mix between the Seat Cordoba, the Ford Focus 99, which we'll get onto later on, and a couple other cars. So this is the fastest, and that is the reason why we are using it. Also, because Stage 4 is a reverse of Stage 1, you can use some of the same shortcuts you used in the first stage. How convenient is that? Also, it's actually dried, I've just noticed. It's dried up in Finland. Thank you. Phew. Also, as you may have noticed, our car is quite battered and bruised. Do not worry, the car does automatically fix itself. Now, like I said, we have fixed the car during the service area. You can do that. In some cases I may repair the car just to make sure that we keep our speed going through the stages. However, on some of them, we won't be repairing the car at all. In fact, barely any. So yeah, just keep your eye out for that one. Also, this would be a good time. Nice, that was a gold split on the last one. Nice.
Well done.
Phew. And we're immediately moving on to Greece. So from, I'm going to say from wet gravel to dry gravel. Nice hot sunny climate in Greece. So we've actually lowered our we've lowered our gearbox settings. So this is one thing that you might see me do for majority of the rallies. So because there's lots of corners, the way I put it is, if there's a lot of corners, then a shorter gearbox will suffice and will be a lot better. If there's a lot of fast straights and barely any corners whatsoever, then it's always worth to turn up the turn the wick up, so to speak, and turn the gearbox up. So in our case, by shortening the gearbox, which is what we've done, it basically means that getting around these corners will be able to accelerate better. I'm not saying the grip's going to be better, but we'll be able to, you know, get around the corners a bit easier. But for the most part, Greece is fairly straightforward. There's not too many cuts. I mean, you will see me do like a cut here, a cut there. There's not too many. The biggest one of all, though, comes in the Super Special stage. Now, to kind of explain how that one works, in brief summary, we are going to drive the wrong way around the track. Think of it as how a Mario Kart shortcut sometimes works. It's kind of similar to that, but in a different sense. I'll explain it when we get to the stage, because otherwise it's kind of pointless. But yeah, so for the most part, there are a few little minor shortcuts here and there. So Greece is I'd say Greece is a bit more relaxed and laid back. Like I said, a couple of shortcuts here and there, just pop through these trees like that. And the thing is, as we found out through vigorous testing, and through the amount of shortcuts and glitches and all sorts that the community has found over the last few years, this game seems to be very broken. So, for example, you could go miles off track and respawn further ahead. Now, this will be apparent on not the next stage, but the third stage, and you'll get to see what I mean. But basically, to kind of explain it in like a summary version, is you go off track, and if you go far enough to either like, you go over a hill or something like that, you can actually spawn further ahead on the stage, and it will save you a few seconds, which is pretty amazing. For example, one of the ones that was found by the community and was used vigorously and has been altered slightly is something called the ice skip, which, when I show you how it works, will probably amaze you. It's pretty damn good though, I will say that. And we quickly move from stage to stage, so it's kind of, loading screens aren't really a thing in this game, for the most part. In-game time does have a bit of a variable. I mean, it's not targeted by in-game time, but in-game time does matter when you do a run like this. So, for now, for the most part, we're doing good. And, yeah, if there's anything that anyone wants to mention, feel free to go right ahead.
Well, I do have a quick donation, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
We got $2 from Franzola saying, "Yo, Viper, great to see you running Colin 2 again. And I'd like to thank Thunderthon's technical staff for actually pulling out an online charity marathon. Keep up the good work, everybody. Less than 3. And that went towards the Sonic Adventure 2 Final Story % incentive that we just put up, and also towards the Clear Costume Bid War.
Also, this is kind of what I mean when I say the game's broken. I literally just cut all of that and the game does not care. The game's like, this is fine by us. You can do that, why not? This is what I'm talking about. Some of these cuts in these stages are ridiculous. And I mean, like, really, really silly. I mean, stage 2 isn't really a heavy cut stage, but in the third one, yeah, there's going to be a lot. I find that like the early game has a lot more cuts than the later game does. That's not to say the late game doesn't have any. Oh no. There is plenty. But we'll get to those when we get to those, I'm sure. But for the most part, yeah, it's going pretty well so far. I'm quite happy with this. Might have had a wet Finland, but I'm not going to let that stop me, so that's fine. One of the things I did actually try out was I did try out a few new setups for the car. So the gearbox setups is something that normally I don't really change them for like Greece, but it does seem like it worked out. So for example, normally we change, like for example, one of the changes that I made the other day was instead of doing a run and having the gearbox be 1 gear higher, it's actually not as high as it should be. So for example, well, it's higher than usual, should I say. So for example, in Kenya we upped the gearbox by 1, which tops us out around 140 miles an hour. However, when I did Kenya last time, I actually upped it to the highest top speed it would go. And there's only 5 notches, so just to kind of give it a context. So the suspension, the brake bias, the brake strength, and also the gearbox are all set at a default value. Also, this is what I mean about going off and then respawning later on the track. Believe it or not, that actually saves time. I think it saves like 2 seconds by us doing that. It's all for saving time, right? But yeah, like I said, so I tried out the longest gearbox. Now I used to use it in Kenya years ago just for like a single stage, but for the Novice Championship it really works wonders. Like it saved me a couple of seconds when I did a run the other day. Currently, the best time for this category is a 1:17:09, which is currently set by myself. But the category's summer best at the moment is around a 1:16, maybe even a 1:15 at this point. It's kind of ridiculous at how fast this category is. Like, the thing is as well is, in terms of stage physics, there's plenty to love about this game. Like, it's one of them games that, in my opinion, it looks a bit difficult. It might be a bit difficult for some people to get into, but I'd highly recommend for people to give this game a try. But I mean, obviously racing's not everyone's cup of tea. I get that, but it's always nice to try something new, right? But also quite recently as well, the community, so there is a huge community behind this game. I think it's quite, it's huge, it's like 80 odd, maybe 70 or 80, something like that. Maybe a bit less, but there's quite a few people around this, and not just this game, but the dirt games as well. So for those that are a bit unsure about Colin McRae Rally, the dirt games that are currently being released, so Dirt 5 being the newest one, that's actually still part of the original series. So the Dirt series that is going today is this exact series from 20 years ago. Sorry, 22 years ago when it first started, so the more you know. It mainly took a different line in terms of development in 2007. So for context, this the original Colin McRae Rally came out in 1998. This released in 2000. Colin McRae Rally 3 released in 2002. 04 released in 2003, which is the fourth game of the series. And then Colin McRae Rally 2005 released in, I think it was autumn 2004. Obviously, just like the F1 games or just like some motorsport games, they tend to release that year's game, you know, like the year after or something like that. And then somewhere along the lines there was a change of Codemasters, and they ended up changing it to Colin McRae Dirt, which was the last game that Colin McRae ever had a say in and ever participated in. So in each of the first 5 Colin McRae Rally games and the first Dirt game, Colin McRae had his say. He actually helped with mechanics and get like the right feel for the game, that sort of thing, which was really good to see. Unfortunately, as I said, Dirt 1, the first Dirt game, was actually the last one which was developed with both Colin McRae's name on it, but also, not only that, it was also the last the last ever game that he was involved in. Because unfortunately in September 2007, he unfortunately died in a helicopter crash. So yeah, the series still lives on, despite him not being at the helm anymore. But technically it's still the Colin McRae series. Also, the Super Special Stage, how do I explain this one? Well, this one's quite an interesting one. You notice we're going the wrong way? There's a reason for that. So what we need to do here is we need to touch that car, eventually, if it lets us. There we go. Like that. So what the idea of that is by touching, you'll go like, huh? What the heck just happened? Okay, so to kind of explain what just happened there, the collision detection box on the car, it basically disqualifies you from the stage. You're thinking, oh no, we've just been disqualified. Well, this is actually where doing all of them shortcuts, so basically getting that far ahead of the AI through the other 4 stages, we pull out such a big gap that we're able to win the rally by still a minute and a bit. And it also saves around a minute or so. So what we used to do is we used to do all the stages, the super special stages and all that stuff, every single stage. But now we actually skip those super special stages. And like I said, there's 4 in the entire game, and in each one you save around about a minute and 20, depends on the stage really. Like for example, Greece normally is around a minute and 15, but by doing what we just did, you save like, I don't know, like 45 seconds or so. In Sweden, which is our next rally, you save around a minute there. Kenya's about a minute and 10 seconds. And the UK is around a minute as well. So it nearly saves close to 5 minutes, almost. And obviously stage time matters as well. Also, welcome to France, I didn't even mention that yet. France is one of my personal favourite rallies in this entire game. Mainly because I've gotten on... I used to hate the French rally in this game because of the tarmac physics and things like that. But now I find it... I enjoy the challenge. Like, it's very fast, very quick. And there's not too many sharp corners. Like, there can be towards, like, the later stages. But for the most part, I quite enjoy the speed and the thrill of France. There is another tarmac rally coming up later on, which is Italy. And for me, this is how I differentiate the two. France is tarmac heaven. Italy is tarmac hell. Mainly because Italy is full of corners, and when it rains, it pours. It is horrendous weather when it rains in Italy. Luckily in France, we don't get any of that, so we're all good. Also a 211, wow.
Do you mind if I jump in with another quick donation?
Sure, go for it.
We got $20 from Sir Avium, which is another one of our lovely hosts, by the way. And she's saying, go, go, go! Toe beans for super speedruns.
Nice. Thank you very much. Also, I like how the fact that so one of the guys in the community, who's funnily enough is also in the chat, I saw before, is a guy called Franz, and I believe he's just said something along the lines of, Franz is one of my favourite guys. He's like, oh, thanks. So yeah.
Sure did, I saw it too.
But yeah, so Franz, funnily enough, and a couple other runners as well. So there's a guy called Zorfkov and somebody else that's also called Lucky. And without these three guys, and also Fairrod as well, who's recently come about on the scene. But mainly, not to leave the main three guys out, between those three, they have really, and I mean really, ripped this game apart. I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean with thanks to them discovering all the out of bounds and the respawn points on the stages for these rallies. I mean, we're still like finding new things, as Fairrod has recently showed us yesterday. But thanks to these guys, this is the reason why the categories have come down so much. For example, it was Zorfkov who found out that we could actually skip the super special stages by getting disqualified from the stage and still winning, so it was thanks to him. Also, it was also thanks to him and Franz as well for the ice skip, which is, in my opinion, one of the biggest stage breakers. Not the biggest stage breaker, because that was, funnily enough, found by Lucky. And Franz has also managed to emphasise it a bit, as a Zorfkov. One of which, the out of bounds that we do towards the end of this run is very sketchy with me, and just does not seem to agree with me. So for the sake of things, and just to play it safe, I won't attempt it. But what I will say is if that is ever pulled off in a run, it is absolutely mind-blowing at how good it is. Because it saves so much time, it's ridiculous, it does save a lot of time. Also, that was another PB stage time. I don't know how the heck I did that, but okay. I seem to do this a lot lately. I have no clue why. Maybe my driving is getting
tired.
Yeah. Maybe my tyres have got a lot of grip in them. My driving seems to be doing better than it usually is. But yeah, like I said, France is more... Like I said, between the 8 rallies, my personal favourite has always been France. In terms of like the top guys as well for this game, at the moment there's me, Lucky, and Franz that are all at the top of the pile, but guys like Zorfkov and a few other guys as well are getting closer. So eventually there's probably going to be like a 5 or maybe even more scrap for the record at the moment. So at the current moment, the main championship, I believe it has 19 runners. And that could be 20 soon. I don't know who 20th will be, but it could be 20. And yeah, everyone's times are slowly improving, but we're all going to get to a point, I think, where it will literally be like 1,000th of a second, and it's the driving that makes the difference. But yeah, like I said, in terms of the overall game, this game can be quite hectic in places. So for example, me doing France right now is very, very hectic. You'll notice, you probably hear it as well, and I do apologise as well for all the button clicking that's going on. And that's me changing down and changing up gears. So the fastest gearbox you can have, fastest gearbox configuration you can have, is manual gears. So I'd highly recommend that if it's pure speed you're after, to try out manual gears. But as a first run, if you're looking to get into this game, I'd recommend just learning the stages a little bit and having automatic gears, just so you don't have to worry about what time to change gear and that sort of thing. There's not a specific timing, but it helps to have a gear, manual gears, only because you can actually control the car's momentum going around the corners. So for example, we use something called engine braking. So rather than use the brakes, we will use the actual gearbox to slow the car down. So for example, I'm in 6th gear right now, but if I change down to 5th gear, for example, it makes it a heck of a lot faster. And that was also another personal best stage time. Right, these just keep on coming.
Are we on world record pace, maybe?
Currently 2.5 seconds behind, which, considering I was about 12 seconds behind at the end of Greece, this could be one, potentially. You never know.
Oh, let's get some hype in chat for that.
Depends on how, let's say it depends on how the weather treats me later on. For now though, yeah, we are. Not the sort of thing I thought was going to happen, but hey ho, here we go. The thing is, this could actually be even more faster as well. If it was a dry Finland, this could probably be even more, even a few more seconds quicker. But let's not put all our eggs in one basket just yet, because you never know what might happen. But yeah, to kind of explain a few things. So the suspension on your car will obviously jump around a bit in, like for example, I never changed the suspension, I never have done. Never really seen the point in doing so. But supposedly on a rally like this, you want stiff suspension so that the car can grip to the road better. But for me, because of all of the gearbox changing, because of the shorter gears and everything, it's just about getting the flow of the car and getting it to lean into the corners and not do anything, not do anything too crazy. You can do a few things to this car. So like I said, you can change the brake bias, which will either which can either cause oversteer or understeer. You've obviously got the gearbox length, so you can either make your car go quicker acceleration or get it to do a better top speed. You've also got the steering input, so you can make the car steer better into corners, which, in the case of Italy, can actually be a good thing. Now that depends. If it's dry, then that will definitely be a good thing. And also, as well, one thing that you can do, and this is quite a crucial one, is you can change tyres. Now throughout the entirety of this one, probably will not change tyres. Now that can cause me grief, like for example when we got Finland before and it was wet. I could have put the wet gravel tyres on and that would have been it. But it is what it is. Depends on the speed you have. I saw that, friends, I saw that. Also, welcome to Sweden. And it's snowing! Hey! It's not winter yet, but oh well, here we are. So Sweden, what is there to say about Sweden? Well, Sweden has one of, in my honest opinion, it's one of the best, I say best, one of the biggest skips, and it's called the ice skip. Now you may remember before, if you cast your mind back about 10 minutes ago, or 5 minutes ago even, that I said about Franz and Zorfkov. Now, to kind of explain how this ice skip works, so you basically need to flip your car over next to a barrier. This will respawn you further on track. Now, there's that, and then there's a barrier a bit further down. However, that's the first way of doing it. So you flip over at a certain barrier on the first, so that's basically part 1 of the ice skip. The second part is usually you drive straight in front of you. Now this was the old skip, this was Zorkov's way of doing it. Franz had a different idea. And what Franz's idea was it was to go a bit further on down the stage, and then once you got to the bottom end of that stage, what you then need to do is you'd need to flip the car over. And believe it or not, this was actually faster. It had saved like an extra 5 or 6 seconds on the previous ice skip. Basically, you get it right first try, it saves like 6 seconds, maybe even more, compared to the original ice skip. And also, there's another little minor skip from there that we could also do. But for the sake of things, I'll try and show them off as we go. But, yeah, like I said, Sweden is very slidey, as you no doubt noticed. I'm constantly keeping it stuck in 5th gear to keep the speed going. I also shortened the gearbox. Now normally I never used to shorten the gearbox. It was only recently during practice that I started to shorten the gearbox. I actually found it to be slightly better in the snow. And the thing is, because of the sheer power of this car, it's actually not a bad thing to have the acceleration either. It means your car quickly gets up to speed and you're all good. Also, we're going to just drive straight over this hill, through these trees here, and back on the stage. So it's all about mastering the slide in Sweden, that's what it's all about. And if I can get this last corner right... And there we go. There's also a PB. Okay. Since the PBs are coming in thick and fast now, I think we might be even ahead. I think I am. Yeah, 0.3 ahead of myself.
It's very exciting.
Now we've got to see how the ice skip does. So like I said, the ice skip can sometimes not work. There is always that chance. But we're going to see what we can do. So there's a reason why it's called the ice skip, because the majority of where the skip actually is, it's on a sheet of ice. I think you end up driving over like a frozen lake, because apparently this is what they do in the real world, as in the real rally championship. They actually drive over like frozen lakes and stuff. Okay, so here we go. We're coming onto it now. So this is the frozen lake here. So obviously the car starts to slide immediately. I want to make sure I get this. So here goes nothing. And the car's flipped. There we go. That's part 1 done. Okay, so this is where the other part comes in handy. So this is the difference between the original and the new one. So what we now want to do is, by driving over here, you'll immediately notice that our splits are going to be like, oh, okay, you're over here all of a sudden. It's like, yes, I am. Nice. So that actually respawns us over here. And then just to take the biscuit, we're going to drive over here. So that's actually cut like, I don't know, maybe 50%. I don't know, about, maybe not 50%, but a good chunk of the stage out. And it's gained us an extortionate amount of time on the AI. So now, all we gotta do is power to the finish. Let's see what we can do. Hopefully, a bit of luck. I don't know if it could be. It's very close. This is looking very close to my PB at the moment. And can it be? Oh, it's a sub 210. Yes, that's probably the best I've ever done that stage. Wow.
Amazing.
Hot off the press. My God. Phew. Also, I feel sorry for the guys at the repair factory who have to repair this car every time I bring it back. Because I mean, imagine the look on the mechanics' faces. It's like, what the heck have you just been? I've just been doing the ice skip. What the heck's the ice skip? In fact, don't tell me. Let's get this car put back into shape. I mean, if we could see the mechanics' reactions, I'm pretty sure they would about be as shocked as we are. If that worked, also, if them kind of cuts worked in real life, you'd be gobsmacked. It's like, wait a minute, the car was there, he's flipped over, he's out of the rally. No, wait a minute, he's not, he's further on stage. How the heck did that happen? You'd be in shock. Be funny if it worked though. It'd be kind of like saying to, you know, some of the fastest drivers in the world, like Sebastian Ogier or Sebastian Loeb or like Tanner, can go, why don't you just cut the corner? Like, it's rally, you are allowed to go off-road, right? Just as long as you pass through the checkpoints, you should be fine. The splits on each stage. I'm pretty sure they look at you as if to say, wait, what? Why didn't we think of that before? Like, you see? Also, it's...
Just flip the car to go fast.
Exactly. And people thought Colin McRae was slow when he used to flip the car. But there you go. Stage 3 is done. Move on to stage 4. So stage 4 has a few little skips, it's nothing too much, but it does do a nice job of what it does when it is its job. We are going to be cutting the track a couple of times on this one as well. For the most part, the track stays fairly straightforward, there's not a lot you can do, but it stays relatively straightforward, so make sure I screw up a bit of speed here. Very nice. Go for a big jump here. There we go. So, stage 4, like I said, has a few cuts, nothing too major, but for the most part, we should be alright. I don't know if we're going to save time on the stage, to be honest, because stage 4 is okay. It's not a great stage for me, but it's okay. Also, bouncing off the arm called, say the rock face, does actually do us wonders. So using the snow to slow down here is actually a bit of a neat trick. It can, by causing your car to slow down faster, you're basically able to just put your foot down and not really have to use the brakes. So I will have to, obviously, so you are going to see me use like some of the snowbanks and some of the barriers and that sort of stuff. But for the most part, yeah, no big deal. We should be fine. And like I said, for the most part, just bouncing off the wall. So here, for example, I will smash the back of the car there. You're like, wait, what about the, you know, what about the engine? What about the engine? Well, the engine, luckily, is in the front. So this is like a small little cut that we do. And believe it or not, that cuts out the hairpin. Saves time, though. We've got another one coming right up now, which is here. I always forget my way through these little trees. There we go. And out the other side. There we go. Cracking stuff. And then from now, it's just a case of, now what you gotta do is just power it to the finish. Just like that. What's on my mind at the moment, it's not Sweden or any of the rallies that are coming up, it's actually Kenya, it's actually Italy and the UK, because Italy has a chance to rain, and if it rains in Italy, it is a nightmare, as I said before. It's pretty bad. And if you get to the UK and it's dry, that's seen as a godsend. So what we're going to do, same again, we got another super special stage and we're going to go for it. So one thing that I should know about the super special stages is there's this weird delay glitch. Now apparently it's only done on the PC. This is not on the PS1 version. Why? We don't know. And it seems to be a glitch that's been in there from day one. Not even the patch can fix it. So there's a weird delay between us changing a gear and nothing else happening. There we go. Nice. So the collision detection can be a bit funny if you're not careful. But for the most part, we should be fine. Also, that is Sweden done and dusted. So Australia next. Yes, I know. Ooh. Hot, hot, hot. It's Australia. A lot of things that put me off going to Australia include the likes of box jellyfish, great white sharks, and any sort of spider, to be honest. But hey ho, In a video game? Thank God that ain't there. Otherwise that would actually put me off playing this game. But, yeah. Luckily, Australia, this is about as straightforward as it gets. Australia, there's barely any cuts in here. Now, there is like one in particular, which I'm going to do here. Normally, I just kind of take it easy, but yeah, there's one here, through these trees here, like that. So that actually saves around 2 seconds. If we can find a quick way to do that, that'd be great. But yeah, so that actually saves about 2 seconds or so through them trees. Granted, I actually didn't pull that off last time I did it, so quite happy I put a bit of practice into doing that little cut through there. So, like I said, Australia's relatively straightforward. If you've got any donations or anything you want to talk about charity-wise, go right ahead.
No donations, but it might be a good time to remind people why we're here, because we are here to raise money for PawsYourGame, which is a 501c non-profit animal advocacy group whose mission is to help raise awareness funds and other resources for both private and municipal animal shelters, rescues, and sanctuaries through video game marathons, streaming, and other events such as tournaments and LAN parties. Roughly 8 million animals enter American animal shelters per year, and 1.5 million of those animals are killed. By working together, we can take a stand against kill shelters and give our furry friends a second chance of finding a forever home and receiving the care they need. Also, we are really close to the $2.5k raised, so you know, if someone wants to make a push for that before this run ends, that would be really cool to see.
I think with the current climate of the world at the moment, obviously the animals are in a lot more danger than they usually are. Even more so with the fact that obviously we've got the wildfires at the moment going on in, is it California? So it's
yeah, the West Coast is getting hit really hard right now.
Yeah. Can't imagine what the animals are going through. It'd be awful. But yeah, every donation counts, guys. Make sure we get them in. Weirdly enough, what's kind of similar about the fact that we were just talking about the wildfires, Australia itself was on fire back in January, if I'm not mistaken, so coincidence that we're driving through a country that was on fire back in January, but yeah. Thankfully it's not now. It's on the road to recovery.
Indeed.
But yeah, so Australia in this game, as I said before, was relatively straightforward. There's a lot of corners, as you can tell, got a lot of trees. So you always have to make sure you don't go too wide. And in the case of, say, this part, there's quite a bit of a straight too. So that means we get to open our car's engine up a bit and just really put our foot down. And that means doing some seriously big jumps and dodging trees at 140 miles an hour. And also trying not to roll the car too. Because if you roll the car, it is extremely dangerous. Also, using that particular hill as well is always a good thing to do. So when you get to the bottom, if you slide your car out wide, going up that hill is always a good idea. Also, always stay right here because you've got them little 2 boulders on your left. You've no idea how many times them boulders used to catch me out as a kid. Always stay to the right on that junction there. So there is a little cut you can take around the side of these rocks here. So you can actually cut over the hill. Same around the left hand side here. But unfortunately for me, I've never really done it, and I don't really see the point in it. It does save a slight bit of time, but nothing much. Also 205, that was pretty damn good. Apparently we made it to 2.5k, am I right?
Yes, you are. Do you mind if I read them off?
Go for it.
So we got $33 from James Bunch of Numbers saying, "Go Met yes." And it was indeed, because that was exactly what we needed to get to 2.5k. And then we also got $5 from Sir Avium saying, "Vroom vroom, Dono train for epic driving skills."
Thank you very much. You're too kind. I try my best. What can I say?
You're doing great.
So far, so good. For those that don't really know me personally, I do a lot of racing games. Like, racing is my jam. So I've done a lot of Colin McRae rally games in the past and other racing games too. But that's not to say that I don't venture out into other games as well. One of the bizarre games that I am kind of known for, not quite, but kind of known for, is Stuart Little. So I think it was around like during the late 90s, so when Stuart Little 1, the very first one, the film, came out, they released a little PC game for it alongside it, which was called Stuart Little Big City Adventures. It's a very short game, literally like 6.5, 7 minutes to speedrun. Can be a bit longer depending on how things go in that run, but yeah, it's a fun little bizarre game. So recently it's there's been that, it's been brought to my attention, and also some of the Ford racing games too. So for those that may be familiar with those or not, that's basically a racing series which is dedicated to the manufacturer Ford. Pretty much every car that's in those games is a Ford. They did a crossover a couple of years back though, which was called Off-Road, and that was Land Rover and Ford as a combination. Which is, funnily enough, my current ongoing, one of several, should I say, current ongoing speedrunning projects to route that and to do a run of it. So, oh, it's very close to the trees, and it was. Okay, let's see. I always thread it carefully through these trees, though, just because you can never be sure.
So it looks like Avium successfully started a donation train because we got $1 from Bikuta saying "Room Room Train," and then another $2 from Nico Hart saying "Room Room Choo Choo."
Vroom vroom indeed, vroom vroom. Let's keep it going if we can, guys. Remember, every dollar always helps with the charity. As Tesco's usually says here in the UK, every little helps, and they're not joking, because it does.
And even if you can't donate, even if you share out the word about the stream, tell your friends that we're here live raising money right now, that also helps us immensely.
So funnily enough, this stage I'm on right now, this is kind of like my Achilles heel, so to speak. So this is the one stage that doesn't make a bad run, it's not that stage that, oh, it's a run killer, that sort of thing. It's just a case of, this stage I don't seem to do as good as other runners are. Mainly because I think it's something to do with I can't take so much speed through some of these corners. I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like this one is my Achilles heel. I've been trying to iron it out, but it's a case of, I did do a lot of practice of this stage at one point and thought that would be it, but apparently every time I do it, my stage time never seems good enough, and I have no clue why. Only because of the fact that I think it's because, again, like I said, I probably didn't put as much practice as I should have into this stage. Like, this stage looks like it's going pretty well, but to get like a really good time, I think like an early 240 is usually quite good. I mean, for this car anyway. But the CR, because of the nearly 200 horsepower deficit, means that you can actually do under 2 minutes 50. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of them stages. Like I said, not one of my personal favourites, but here we are. Also, a stage which has a tough corner in it, which I believe is this one coming up right now. That one there. If you hit that at the wrong angle, you can end up getting tagged off the side of the stage, and it's kind of, not game over, but it can hurt badly. So you have to be very careful. So this is going to be an early 240. Sorry, car. Might have to smash you around a bit. There we go. 243. Very nice.
Good job. This is great.
And now comes the... now comes the ultimate test. So, that's Australia done. Welcome to Kenya. Now Kenya, easiest way of putting this, this is one heck of a fast rally. So Finland is still the fastest, but this is quite quick too. So each stage in the Novice Championship averages around less than 2 minutes apiece. Again, same as Finland. However, one thing you may have noticed, we've turned the wick right up. We have gone with the full top speed of this car to see what we can do. And it is quite fast, as you can see. Now I'm going to try and keep this on the road if I can. Now there is actually, funnily enough, even though Kenya is quite fast, there is a few little shortcuts that we take. Again, nothing much, just like Australia, but they make up like a second here, a second there. I also got very lucky just then, by the way, with not hitting the lamppost and flipping over. That was very, very close. So we got quite lucky there. Also, one of the other rally games I forgot to mention before, I was saying about a couple of games that I played in the past. One of them is the early WRC games. So I've done runs of WRC 2 Extreme, which is what Fairroad's just reminded me about, and also WRC 4. Now the WRC series, it's still going these days, although it's in my opinion the second generation. So like the Dirt is the second generation of the Colin McRae rally games. The WRC series is a revamped second generation of the earlier WRC games, so make that what you will. So this looks like it's going to be a pretty good time, and it was. That was a pretty good time.
How are we looking?
Currently nearly 14 seconds up on my personal best. So if
That is amazing.
If this is anything to go by, this could probably be one of the best runs I've done. Now, it still depends on what Italy and the UK has to say. Which...
Chat, I hope you're praying for good RNG, because we need it.
Definitely. I will give it my all in Italy and the UK. Even if it doesn't give me the nicest weather, I will give it my all. And that's all I can do. As I got told before, give it your best. And we're going full, giving it the beans. Full on hammer mode. Or hammer time, as they say in F1, for Lewis Hamilton. He gives it the beans there, I give it the beans here. So this is the top speed we can get down here. This is actually the stage where that top speed I mentioned before is extremely useful. Because as you can see, we're going some speed, and you notice as well, I ain't using my brakes neither. That's because in about, I think it's about 80% of this stage, it's flat. You literally accelerate non-stop. Now I am letting off the accelerator a bit, rather than using my brakes, so when we get to the end here, so hopefully, there we go, get through there. That's always a bit of a pain to get through there, but again, no biggie. We got through there nice and easy. Now luckily, because of the power of this car, it means that we can really turn the wick up. Like, we're gonna go as fast as we can.
It's good, because Franz is saying that if you're gonna do it, he will literally start his own OnlyFans.
He wants me to do a skip, so the out of bounds thing, it saves quite a bit of time if you can get it. But it's so hard to do. Like, Franz can do it dead easy. Believe it or not. I say easy, he makes it look easy. Every time I've tried it, it's never worked for me. I'm gonna have to let Franz down on this and just say, for the sake of for the sake of playing it safe, I will probably not do it. However, my mind might change between now and then, so let's see what happens.
Get some more good energy in chat and maybe he'll do it.
Also, Stage 3 may or may not look familiar, so when this game rolls into demo mode, when this game rolls into demo mode on the main title screen, it has that stage, that one that we just did, stage 3. That's the demo stage. So if it seems a bit familiar to people that have played the demo of this game, or have seen like a rolling demo, you may have seen that stage before. Possibly, I'm not sure. So if you remember the cut that we did in stage 1, well, we're going to do it again in stage 4. Here we go. So we just cut over this grass like this, out the other side like that. There we go. So now the rest is just about going fast. The thing is, Kenya is... I was going to say blink and you'll miss it, but that's more like Finland. Like I said, Kenya is a very fast rally, mainly because of the speed you get. I mean, the Novice Championship anyway, the rally's like 9 minutes, not even that. Like 8 minutes even. But if you get it in if you do the Intermediate or the Expert, which I haven't actually mentioned about those difficulties. So the Intermediate and the Expert Championships are obviously a speedrun as well, in their own right. However, doing the Intermediate and Expert Championships has their own time lengths. So, for example, this championship takes about an hour and 20, if that. First runs might be about an hour and 30, something like that. The Intermediate Championship takes around around 240, 250, and then the Expert takes 3.5 to 4 hours. Although if you're in this car, it takes a lot less. And I'll kind of explain how and why. So, in the Novice Championship, like I said, you have 4 stages, and if in case of this rally, you have 4 stages plus a super special stage. However, in the in the Intermediate rally, you have 8 stages per rally, and 9 if it's got the super special stage in it, like this one has. And if you're doing the Expert Championship, that's 10 stages, plus a super special stage if it has one. Also, we're going to hit this guy at some speed. If I can get this, I would be laughing all the way to the bank here. Nope, I can't. Okay. Now I got to chase after him. Go, go, go. It might end up... Give me a minute. Luckily we're in the Peugeot, so we should be able to catch him. There we go. We got him. That did actually...
Nice save.
It did lose us some time, unfortunately, so there's not a lot I can do about that. But, let's see what Italy's got in store for us. Italy's dry. Okay. Phew. That's a relief. Italy is a bit of a nightmare. Like I said, you'll notice as well, there's a lot of corners in Italy. A lot. If the weather's going to be nice... As in, if this weather plays ball, I'd be quite happy with that. At the moment, it is. It can quickly change in stage 3 though, so we have to pray that it's going to be dry all the way. So prepare to listen to a lot of button clicking on my end, but also a lot of skidding from the car. Because this car does skid a lot in Italy. And like I said before, we have the short... we do have the short gearbox, which allows us to get ourselves round corners and out corners. Now, Italy, believe it or not, unlike France, where France has barely got any shortcuts, Italy does have a couple up its sleeve. Not too many, and they don't save too much time, but it does have a couple of shortcuts, which I'm sure some people might like to see. So, stage 1 doesn't really have many shortcuts, in fact it barely has any. Whereas stages, I think stage 2 has one, or stage 3 has one, and stage 4 has a couple.
We also have some donations if I have time to read those.
Yeah, go for it.
We got $2 from Ecclesias saying, let's get this train going again. Choo choo. And then we have $1 from Franzola saying, world record pace hype? Go Viper, go!
I'm trying, friends.
And another $1. And another $1 from Bikuta saying, more room. And another $2 from Sir Avium saying, vroom vroom, let's go.
I gotta say, the more you were saying that, then the more it's like, this car likes me more. The car likes me a bit more.
That's good, I like hearing that.
Also, that's probably one of the best stages I've done for a while. Okay, so, seems like we're gonna get a mixed fortunes here. So unfortunately, Italy has decided you've had enough with dry weather, we're gonna make it rain. So the grey sky thing that happens there, that basically means that on a stage, you'll start with dry, and it will end wet. So expect to see me sliding a heck of a lot more in like the next 2 minutes. Whether this is going to roll over into stages 3 and 4, it usually will, but we'll find out. I hope not, but if it does, then it happens, it happens. This is the thing, this is the unpredictability of the weather in this game. So, one thing to note as well is that out of all of the Colin McRae rally games, and even some of the more modern ones, on the original Colin McRae rally, and like I said, the ones that actually took place after this, so Colin McRae Rally 3, 04, and 2005, they all had set weather patterns. So all the stages you did always had the same weather. In the second one though, this had dynamic weather. So really, this game was a lot more ahead of its time than the ones that came after it. Pretty cool, huh? I mean, dynamic weather was a thing in games back then anyway, like for example, it was in Grand Theft Auto and things like that. But in a rally game, it wasn't too many that actually had it involved. And what kind of makes it even worse is the fact that this came out in 2000, its predecessors that came out in the next 4 years didn't even have a weather system like this. Granted, they were much more improved, like the weather effects were a lot more convincing, however, the dynamic weather setting, so the variable that we've got here, was never a thing in those games. Which, for me, I find quite bizarre. But, it is what it is. Also, going at this in the wet is kind of scary. So we do this little cut off here, like that. And that allows us to actually save a little bit of time. So all of you now going to do is just got to pray and hope. The car's going to take some damage, and I'm so sorry about this car. I'm sorry to everyone that's like, no, not the car, sorry. The car's going to get damaged. Badly.
It's for the animals, it is worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Whew. Okay. So it's still raining. So our Italy started good, but it's going to end bad. Only because of the fact that wet weather means that we're going to lose a lot of time. But, still underestimates, so that's what counts. And remember what I said before, it was world record pace until Italy had something to say about it. If you get through Italy, you've not jumped the final hurdle yet. This is the thing. Even if we get through Italy and it was completely bone dry, that wouldn't have made things any better because then we've got the UK. And the UK, believe it or not, is deciding factor in most cases for a world record run these days. For example, you could have the perfect run with absolutely no rain whatsoever, like I happened to get the other day, and you save tons of time. But you get bad weather, like I got on this one, fair to say, the car is not having a fun time. Also, now what we're going to do is we're going to climb up this hill, like that. And there you go. So that actually saves like a few seconds up there. So the worst thing is, the reason why I'm saying like the rain's messed this up is for one reason. Tyres. So I could have changed my tyres to wet tyres, however when you're on wet tyres you tend to slide more in the wet. Basically, dry tyres are actually better than wets, but only if you can handle them properly. I mean, I have never been able to do it properly, but you know, here we are. I'm probably gonna take a guess and say that it's gonna rain in Britain, because it's usually raining in Britain. Most cases, anyway. But we'll make the best of a bad situation. That's what we'll do. Also, I should point something out. France and Italy take up a lot of concentration.
Our chat is praying for good weather, so hopefully that's what we get.
I mean, just to put it in perspective of how bad the weather can mess you up, I just lost 10 seconds on that stage alone because of the bad weather, and I'm going to lose even more here. That's how bad it gets when it rains. It does lose you a lot more time. You can build up a 2-minute buffer before Italy and lose it. The whole lot. In like the last 2 rallies. But what's the point in the PB if you don't have any runs that were nearly there and didn't quite make it?
That is true.
It's always satisfying when you finish one, even if it's not quite there. Just remember, just one day, that one run will come to you. When it does, do not give up. Don't let it get away from you. Otherwise, if you're like me, you kick yourself to death thinking, damn, that was the one that got away. I think the other day I had a similar thing where I had like a run that was going really well and then it happened to go downhill when I got right near the end and I lost so much time. For example, like the current summer best is in the 115s at the moment, but the thing is usually in most cases it's kind of impossible to get your summer best on any run. Obviously it's not really the case. But if you get like that one perfect run, it makes it pretty impossible to match it again. Don't forget, considering the issues we've gone through, where it rained in Finland before, it doesn't surprise me that it's raining in Italy, and I wouldn't be surprised if it rained in the UK neither. I'm just glad that it didn't rain in any of the other rallies, because unfortunately, if it does happen to rain in like France or something, you lose more time than you can believe. Again, rain always makes you slower. The stage times are slower if it rains. In Sweden, if it snows, it doesn't really make too big of a difference, I found though. Mainly because you're on snow, so it's just adding to the snow. That's all. And you're on the snow tyres anyway. Sweden's the one rally where it doesn't matter whether it's dry or it snows. You can still get the same time on both.
Well, in the meantime, we can cheer your car up with another donation. It seems the train is still going because we got $2 from Sebi444 saying vroom vroom.
Nice. And that is Italy done and dusted, which means we now move on to the UK. And is it raining? It's not raining. Interesting. So the UK...
Chat, we need your energy.
Exactly. Funny thing is, I say there's no rain, but this is only stage 1. It could rain on stages 2 or 3, we don't know yet. Oh yeah, did I mention that the UK has some massive skips in the stages? One of which you kind of already seen. As you're about to. There's some there's some huge skips. Some of them are basic as they get, and cutting them doesn't really save too much time, although we always use them when we do them. Let's see. The difference between a dry stage and a wet stage and a wet stage in the UK is mind-blowing. It's like 10 seconds, or maybe even more. It depends on the stage, to be honest. Also, oh, that was close. Jump that barrier, skip across the grass, and yes, the game does let you do this. doesn't... Honestly, this game is... I told you it was broken. I do apologise if you have photo epilepsy. The flashing thing, which has been a problem since the start, this is actually a problem with Windows 10, unfortunately. I've not actually managed to fix the problem ever, so I do apologise. And apart from that... Also, nice little cut here towards the end. Like so. And would you believe me if I just said we just drew back 20 seconds on my PB, so I'm now back up ahead of my PB again.
Wow, amazing.
I told you it saves time if it's dry. Well, this could be a record after all. You never know.
Keep that energy coming, chat. It is working.
And it's still dry on stage 2. If it's dry on stages 3 and 4, then this could be it. To be honest, it'll probably be the first run I've had where it's been a completely dry UK. If it's completely dry, that is.
Yeah, don't jinx it yet, but it's looking good.
Funnily enough, that kind of reminds me of something I heard in F1 once, which was like, you just wait, sunshine, you just wait, but it's looking good.
Nice.
So, as I said, when it rains, you lose a lot of time. When it's dry, though, you gain a lot of time. The stage, funnily enough, stage 3, which we're going to be doing in a minute, is a bit of a hard stage. If it rains, we're not in trouble, don't worry. But if it stays dry, well, let's say it's everything to play for then. Also, 120, wow. Whew. And it's still dry. This could be it.
Oh, chat, that energy, keep it coming. It is working.
It could still rain the last stage, but if it rains, we're not bothered.
3 out of 4 stages. This is amazing.
The thing is, I've got enough. I'm up enough for this to go into a 116, which will be the first time this category's ever touched that number. So, if this goes better than planned, then great. If it doesn't...
I want to see some hype in chat for that. We do not think about it doesn't.
Don't think about the ifs and buts, just the what ifs. Let's see. Well, I'm quite thankful that the UK has actually been nice to me right now. Because normally it rains like halfway through. Like through this stage we normally get rain and that's it. And you're like, oh well, there goes the run I guess. But no. So,
Chat is chanting rain, rain, go away right now, and hopefully it's working.
and say this is all for the, this is all for the animals. I'm doing this for the animals. That's what I have to keep remembering. It's all for the animals. Don't fail me now, game. Come on.
Can we get some rooms in chat for good luck, please?
Okay. It looks like it's going to be a sunny day for the last stage. Oh my god.
Rooms in chat, it's working!
You're making the rain go away, guys. Keep it up. You're helping me.
This is what I like to see.
If you said to me after Italy that I was going to PB, I would have said, no, you wouldn't. No, no way. Unless we got a good UK, and we have. Okay, we're gonna get a bit of rain at the end, it seems. But it doesn't matter. It's gonna start
Keep
dry.
the room rooms coming.
Probably
And we got
should be
this.
fine. Right. I don't want to risk it, me. There is cuts that I can do here, but I don't want to risk any of it. So I'm going to just take it easy. Okay, right. All I need now is for this to go right. Please go right. Okay, that's fine. So that basically spawns you a bit further ahead on the bridge. As I said before, I won't do the bridge skip, I do apologise. Only because it's too risky for me. And
I
it's
think
wet.
the animals will understand.
Yeah. Well, here comes the rain, right on cue. Currently the 115s at the moment. Okay. Believe it or not, that actually does save time going behind the fence, the billboard thing there. All I need now is for the weather to do its job, which will disappear. The reason why I say it doesn't matter if it rains in this stage is simply because of the fact that when you get to the last stage, it always dries up, so we should be fine. Okay.
I'm so tense right now and I'm not even playing.
Okay, one more stage to go. This is it. Right, so I'll tell you when time's gonna be. Now, it's normally when the camera changes, so keep an eye out for the camera changing.
Can we get some final room rooms in chat for good luck, please?
Time! Done. Yes!
That was incredible.
And that is a 1:16:46, which puts it as world record by 23 seconds.
Amazing job. Well done.
35 seconds gained in the last rally. That's insane. I don't know. I'm lost for words. Well, that just happened, but damn. Right. Okay. That was a pretty incredible run. I have to admit that. Oh my god. Okay. So.
Thank you so much for your energy.
Thank you very much, chat. You guys drove that rain away. It may have come back at the end, but we got that, and yeah, thanks to you guys, we managed to get that in the bag. We got it. Boom. To kind of just explain, I really do need to explain what's currently going on. So, normally, you have to go down, normally, the way this end cutscene works, you can hear there's fireworks going off and bang, blah, blah. Right. So, the car normally goes across, this is what usually happens, the car goes across the bottom of the screen, slides against the house, and then when it slides against the house, it stops there, so you usually see the house with your car in front of it, and all the fireworks going off and exploding, and it looks really cool. Unfortunately, thanks to, I don't know why, I think it's just because it's through modern systems, there's a weird glitch so it makes the screen fade out and fade back in, so you don't see it on the PC version, unless there's a way that this works, I don't know. But, yeah, that's how, like, it's basically broken at the ending, but it's fine. The game still works, I can still play it, as you can see, I can just go to there, and there you go. But, yeah, that's that. If we've got a quick 2 seconds, I just if it's okay, I know we might be a bit behind on time, but would it be okay to just quickly show the out of bounds on one stage? Have we got the time to do so?
I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure everyone's reeling on the world record hype, so go for it.
Okay, so I will show it in the easiest way I can, using the easiest car I can. So, here's the Mini Cooper. Nice small car. The 4th stage, which we've just done. Now, you're going to get to see how broken this is going to be. So, due to how small this car is, this is actually the easiest way of showing it. So it fits through some of these gaps with relative ease. And you're like, wait a minute. Where the heck did you just go? Well, basically, you see a gap, you can just drive straight through it. Now, this isn't the out of bounds. The out of bounds is coming up. So, the stage you just saw me do, this is completely dry, so there's no way for it to rain or anything like that. And I hope that... There we go. Okay, I respawn, that's good. Okay, so at the end of this bridge, there is a little shortcut. So, you'll see this any second now. So, where this is here, we head this way, and there's a gap here, and we aim through it like that. We go straight through there, through that little gap, and then we start driving here. Now, the reason why this isn't out of bounds, I could have used this, but I just choose not to. So if we drive along here like this, like so, and then just keep driving, we drive alongside here, alongside the lake. You're like, why? Where's this taking us? Notice the split times at the top. You eventually drive out of bounds like that, and when you respawn, there's the finish right in front of you. And that is how you do out of bounds. And
That was amazing. Thank you for showing that off.
just to prove how badly it is, if you look at the split times here, we actually have minus numbers in the splits. Because the game doesn't know where you are, the game thinks you're still on the stage, but because you're going far ahead, it thinks, hang on a minute, that's not right, I don't know what to do, and then just the times go a bit ballistic, so you end up like all that time you lose, they put it on, but because you've gained so much by driving out of bounds, it ends up being like a 128. It's ridiculous. Just to also, as well, again, just to show it from an onboard perspective again, we're at the exact moment. So where the car is here, there's a little out of bounds here to the left. How do you get T minus? I have no idea. So here you go. So there's a gap between that 4 barrier there and the thing, and you just go boom, straight through it. Now, bear in mind, there is a certain angle on the Mini Cooper percent, which I can also quickly mention. I'll just mention the Mini Cooper though. The Mini Cooper's the smallest car, it'll fit through pretty much most little gaps, so it's fine. It'll easily do the out of bounds, no problem. Now the Seat Cordoba, which is the one we use for the regular championship, and the Peugeot 205, both fit with a bit of tweaking, but you can fit them through. To mention as well, just before I go, again, I just want to say 2 things. First thing is, feel free to give this game a try if you want. Just casually, it is quite a fun little game to play and to run. But also, not only that, there's a few little, like I said, few little funny out of bounds and stuff like that you can obviously use during your run. And just casually, in my opinion, it's quite a fun little run to do. But the other thing as well is that we do have other categories, which I haven't mentioned. Also, the camera's about to go a bit weird here, so I'll let the game show off how bizarre, how funny the camera goes. So you obviously got the regular championship, which you can do, which you can sell if you've got like an hour and 20 minutes ish on your hands. Feel free to give it a go. So it's a blast. If that's not really your thing and you prefer circuit racing, there is something called arcade mode, which you can do. You can do little runs of. There's the Arcade Novice, which is 3 races, 1 around Italy, 1 around Sweden, 1 around Greece, and it's about 8.5 minutes long. So if you want something really fun and easy to do to get into this game, highly recommend trying that. There is 100% time, which I'll explain that in a second, but there's a challenge percent, there's plenty of categories. Recommend just go and have a look at this game in general. And if you're up for it, there's 2 miscellaneous categories. There is the Mini Cooper percent, also this is where the camera disappears to when it doesn't know where we are. The Mini Cooper has its own category. It's the Novice Championship, but you do it all in the Mini Cooper. So you get to do... The time's obviously slower than the regular one. Also, there you go. Driving on thin air. I've never seen that camera angle before, but that's hilarious. And then the other one is the Ford Escort Mark 1%. So that's another slow car that got its own category as well. And both of these cars have their own individual cuts and shortcuts that you can do with them both. And that's pretty much Colin McRae Rally 2. Thanks again, I would say a big massive thanks to everyone for watching this run. You've been amazing. Thanks again to the guys that showed up from the Colin McRae Rally 2 community, so Fairrod, Franz, Chotu, and a few other guys that have probably turned up as well. You're all great guys, I'm sure, and thanks very much for tuning in. And of course, the biggest thanks goes to Thunderthon for allowing me not only to participate in this event for the first time, but also to show this off. So big thank you to the host of these, the guys that all, bring it together and bring these great events together. And yeah, be sure to keep those donations coming in. Thanks very much.
Real quick before I let you go, we also got $20 from Sir Adium saying, Room world record hype.
Yeah.
It really is. But seriously, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's really appreciated. That was amazing.
No problem. Thank you for having me.